Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on 20 cable stations from Vermont to New York City and 24/7 on the internet at thestruggle.org. As promised in an earlier program, we're going to take up the issue of 9/11. That is, the so-called 9/11 truth movement. We'll be talking to historian Lenni Brenner. He's a historian known for his careful research. He also worked in the World Trade Center. Then we'll explore a hidden and disgraceful part of American history, the beatings and killings of Asians with dark features in the aftermath of the 9/11 attack, particularly the turbaned people of the Sikh religion. We'll listen to a talk by filmmaker Valerie Kaur, who produced the film Divided We Fall. Finally, the journalist Dar Jamel. He'll be touring Connecticut in September. Today I'll play for you part of an interview I did with him in 2005 about U.S. attacks on Fallujah, Iraq. Lenni Brenner has written or edited some 5 books on Thomas Jefferson, on the Democratic Party, and on the disgraceful history of Zionist relations with Mussolini's Italy and Hitler's Germany. In New York City, I'm speaking to activist and historian Lenni Brenner. Lenni, back in May, I believe, I was in New York and at a great event, and it featured Cindy Sheehan. She was talking about her new book, I think it's called Myths of the Robber Class, and she got into a lot of good things. One thing kind of surprised me. One of the myths that she said existed was the idea that 11 Arabs did the 9/11 attacks. And when she got into the details, she said, well, I don't know where I stand on it. I don't think Cheney directed it from the White House, but, you know, I don't believe the official story. And there was a lot of people in the audience wearing the 9/11 truth buttons, and evidently there's an effort to get a re-examination of this on the ballot in New York City. So I wanted to talk to you about this and see what some of your views about this. Have you been following it at all?
Yes. I have been following it. I have been following conspiracy theories ever since I wrote Zionism in the Age of the Dictators and was studying all the notions in the 1930s about Jewish conspiracies and about how Stalin was saying that Leon Trotsky was an agent of Adolf Hitler and so on and so forth. I don't take conspiracy theories seriously because I've looked at several of them over the years, and they all tend to have the same plot with different characters. Who did it? Whatever the conspiracy, your bad guys done it. In other words, I read an article in Counterpunch where some guy said, hey, 9/11, you know, we know that there were Israeli agents all over the United States hanging close around wherever Arabs congregated, and they found out that, you know, Al-Qaeda was going to do it. Not that the Zionists did 9/11, but they knew about it and kept quiet about it. Well, all I can say to that is I live across the street from an Arab. You know, I mean, what does that mean? That's not evidence of anything, you know?
Well, but you have, let's say, a personal connection. I mean, you worked at one time in the World Trade Center.
Yeah. I mean, not once. I mean, I for many years did traffic surveys, and one of the places that I worked was in the World Trade Center because it's, and the basement of the World Trade Center was a gigantic transportation depot from trains from New Jersey coming into New York. So I know, remember there was a, somebody tried to blow up the World Trade, put a bomb in the World Trade Center, I think it was 1993, don't hold me to the exact date.
They killed a lot of people.
Yeah, and now what happened was that the guys who were arrested were Muslims, and the reason that they got arrested was that the Muslims called the police to tell the police that a station wagon that they had rented had been stolen the day before. Okay, so this was what happened was they brought a bomb into like this basement with this station wagon, etc. So of course the police had no difficulty whatsoever in realizing these are the guys who did it, you know, and they prosecuted them. Now I even knew some of the lawyers for the Muslims, okay, who were left-wingers and all that kind of stuff. So I followed that case very closely, and there was no doubt that the guys who were accused of doing it did it, you know. And you know, as I say, between my experience at studying other conspiracy theories, you know, I looked at the case very closely, and of course the American government had an investigation afterwards, and you know,
so Al-Qaeda types did that in 1990.
Not Al-Qaeda types. Al-Qaeda did it, and they say they did it. I mean, that's what is so outrageous about all this 9/11 conspiracy theory, is that Al-Qaeda gets furious. I mean, you know, what are you talking about? You did it, somebody else did it, you know, the Zionists did it, we did it, we're proud of it.
We did, we're talking about now the 2001 bomb.
Yeah. I mean, it's open and shut, you know, but as I say, look, one thing I've learned is that 99 out of 100 people don't know what they're talking about when it comes to politics. I hate to upset people with this objective fact. I mean, you know, but it's absolutely true. And what they're doing is projecting their fantasies onto the situation.
Now, this is not to say that the 9/11 commission that was established by the government covered all the bases. They didn't go very far back. They didn't talk about Jimmy Carter.
Well, look, the one thing, well, let me put it this way. The one thing that is rarely talked about in the major media, but is talked about by scholars, and it is occasionally talked about in the major media, is the fact that it was Democrat Jimmy Carter and his national security advisors Zbigniew Brzezinski and Madeleine Albright who got the brilliant idea of arming and funding the Islamic fundamentalist terrorists in Afghanistan. Now, that's not conspiracy theory. I mean, that's certified fact. I mean, you know, in other words, in fact, Brzezinski says, yeah, everybody, you know, all these scholars, they're all blaming me for 9/11. You know, in other words, this was the CIA has a term called blowback, which means the unfortunate consequences of their actions, the unexpected consequences. In other words, they funded the Islamic fundamentalists in Afghanistan and armed them and trained them, etc. And then when these guys won, you know, let's put it this way. The German capitalists in 1929, when they backed Hitler, they weren't looking to kill the Jews. It never crossed their minds. They were looking for somebody to bash the commies, who were, you know, 12% of the vote in 1928. So, but when you back a right-wing nut for your reasons, and they come to power, you think you were using them, but they think they were using you. You get